Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into a really charged online discussion that just took off in Ireland. It's a Reddit thread from Rearland, and the title tells you a lot. Parents of Ireland is need to cop on.
Yeah, cop on. For anyone listening who isn't familiar, it's classic Irish slang. Basically means wise up or get a grip.
Exactly. It sets the stage perfectly. So this deep dive is all about this perceived increase in antisocial behavior among young people in Ireland. And the source material isn't some, official report. It's this raw, totally unfiltered Reddit thread.
Which is valuable in itself. It gives you a real snapshot, doesn't it? Public feeling, different experiences, loads of opinions on what's clearly a really tricky social issue.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission here is basically to unpack all that. We want to look at the problems people are reporting, explore the causes they're debating, check out the solutions being thrown around, all from within this online community. And importantly, we're not taking sides, just laying out what was said.
Right. And while it's very Ireland-specific, I suspect some of these themes might sound familiar elsewhere, too.
Oh, definitely. These kinds of conversations happen in many places.
So let's start with the original post. The person who wrote it was clearly, at the end of their rope, felt they had to get it out. What were the specific things that pushed them? They talked about seeing kids, teenagers, vaping on buses, screaming.
Yeah, talking in really vile ways, as they put it.
Yeah.
Sexual comments, harassment, verbal abuse, even physical intimidation.
It feels like a lot more than just kids being noisy.
Absolutely.
Ah.
And it wasn't just the original poster feeling this. The comments section, wow. People saying they actively crossed the road to avoid groups of teens.
Really? Crossing
Yeah.
the road.
Yeah. Or being too afraid to actually say anything, to
Yeah.
confront them. This general feeling that public spaces are kind of being, I suppose, dominated by these groups. And the examples, they ranged massively. You had lower level stuff, kicking front doors, that kind of nuisance.
Annoying, but maybe not terrifying.
Right. But then it escalated. People were mentioning claims of, sexual harassers, attacks on OEPs, old age pensioners, even assaulting a 6-year-old
Assaulting a 6-year-old. Wow.
and breaking into cars at night.
Yeah.
So a huge spectrum of behavior being reported.
Yeah, that's a massive leap from vaping on a bus. It really shows the depth of the concern. And the original poster, they didn't just rely on their own experiences, did they? They linked it to something bigger.
They did. They referenced an Irish Times article, a fairly recent one from August 9th, 2025. The headline was, "Soul Destroying. Courts Struggle to Rein in Repeat Teen Offenders Amid Capacity Limits on Detention."
Soul destroying. That really connects the personal frustration to, a systemic problem, or at least a perceived one.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that links into this feeling of impunity that several commenters mentioned.
Hmm.
Kids apparently confronting security guards, saying things like,
Mm.
"I am just a kid. You cannot do anything to me."
Wow, that's bold.
It is. And you hear loads of anecdotes from people using public transport buses, the Luas, the Dart in Dublin, describing almost constant incidents. Some people just call them savages, making journeys horrible or even feeling unsafe, especially for families or regular commuters.
That idea of public spaces feeling unsafe or kids feeling untouchable, it really hits home. Which leads straight into that big question that kept coming up in the thread. Is this actually new? Is it getting worse? Or is it just, the classic old man shouts at cloud thing, every generation thinking the next one is the worst?
Yeah, and the opinions were really split. You had the new and worsening camp. The original poster felt there was a wild generational difference, a quick shift.
Hmm?
They even mentioned Gardaí, the police,
Yeah.
supposedly saying youth crime is rising quickly.
Okay, so pointing to official sources, potentially.
And some commenters were right there with them, saying things like a 10,000% difference in attitude in younger kids. Someone mentioned seeing 9-year-olds catcalling adults in public.
Yeah.
It feels different, doesn't it?
It certainly sounds jarring, but then the counter-argument was just as strong, right?
Oh, yeah. Loads of people saying, hang on, it's always been like this. Bringing up the 80s, the 90s.
Right, the stories about joyriding, stealing cars to put on bonfires.
Exactly. Parts of Dublin being no-go areas. Smoking cigarettes, even joints. Apparently common on buses back then.
So the argument is maybe the type of antisocial behavior changes, but the level hasn't necessarily.
That's one interpretation. Or just that memory is selective.
Hmm.
People in their early 30s were saying the exact same about you a few years ago.
That classic line. And the simple getting older perspective. Has it gotten worse, or have you just gotten older?
Mm-hmm. Can't remember a time when there wasn't a problem with teenagers. It's a fair point to raise, isn't it? It forces you to question your own perspective.
Definitely. And where does social media fit into this whole debate? Did people see that as a cause or something else?
That came up a lot. The general consensus wasn't that social media created the problem from scratch, but more that it's exasperated it, made certain behaviors, this kind of look, seem cooler maybe.
Spread it faster, perhaps?
Yeah, spread behaviors emboldened maybe the very worst elements, as one person put it, and you get impressionable teenagers just parroting what they see online.
So an accelerant, maybe, or a magnifier, rather than the root cause itself?
That seemed to be the prevailing idea, yeah.
Okay, so we've got the problem laid out, the debate about whether it's new, which
Mhm.
naturally leads to, okay, why is this happening? Who or what is responsible? And I bet the Reddit hive mind had plenty of theories on that.
Oh, absolutely, a whole range. But one topic just dominated the discussion.
Let me guess. Parenting.
You got it. Overwhelmingly. Phrases like utterly poor parenting practices, utter neglect, device parenting. That's an interesting one.
Device parenting, like give them a tablet and ignore them.
Sort of, yeah. Or soft touch parenting, zero correction. Just constant references to a failure in parenting. And some of the anecdotes shared were, well, quite stark.
Like what?
Like, one person claimed to know of parents waiting in the car while their 12-year-old literally robbed a shop.
Get out. Seriously.
That's what was claimed. Another one about a mother apparently laughing when her kid opened a stranger's shower curtain in a public changing room.
Oh, come on.
It paints a picture, right?
Hmm.
Some commenters felt parents don't even know where their kids are or care. Or, on the flip side, the only attention they get is negative, like beating the shit out of them.
Wow. That's a bleak range of possibilities. Did anyone push back on the parenting blame? Or offer context?
A little bit.
Yeah.
You know, mentions of the pressures parents are under today, cost of living, working all hours, the digital world being hard to manage.
Sure, it's not always easy.
No. But honestly, the overwhelming tone was criticism, a sense that basic parental responsibility was missing for some.
Okay, so parenting is number one. What else came up frequently?
The justice system. Huge target. People talking about a total lack of a proper justice system, lack of any real consequences.
Echoing that Irish Times article headline.
Exactly. Laws that commenters felt protect teenage criminals to the point where they are untouchable. Mentioning the courts struggling, Gardaí being seen as ineffective unless it's something really major.
Right, that feeling of impunity again. What about wider societal factors like money or lack of it?
Yeah, socioeconomic factors were definitely discussed. Some linked the behavior to, quote, dysfunctional families, maybe areas with generational unemployment or just a lack of stimulation.
The usual suspects.
Kinda. But there was a really important counterpoint made by several people. They insisted this isn't just confined to lower socioeconomic groups.
Ah, okay, so it's happening in wealthier areas too.
That was the claim. Mentioning kids from families with, combined incomes around 150K euro also being involved.
Yeah.
So not simply a poverty issue, according to these commenters.
That complicates the narrative quite a bit.
It does. Then there's the power of the peer group. A strong belief that who kids hang around with is maybe the biggest factor.
More than family, even.
Some argued that, yeah.
Yeah.
That the peer group is a greater predictor of both outcomes and behavior than just about any other consideration. Just takes one influential asshole, as someone put it, to sway the whole group.
Makes sense. And you mentioned COVID earlier.
Just briefly. One commenter suggested the pandemic played a role. Kids missing out on vital socialization, school structure, some being stuck in unhappy homes, possibly witnessing more domestic violence, which reportedly did rise during lockdowns. Just another layer of potential disruption.
Yeah, it's never just one thing, is it? It sounds like people see it as this tangle of issues, parenting, the justice system, peer pressure, maybe economics, maybe the pandemic, all feeding into it.
Precisely, a convergence of factors rather than a single smoking gun.
Okay, so if the causes are complex, what about the solutions? This is where things often get really interesting and sometimes controversial. What did people suggest?
You're right. A huge range of ideas came out. Starting with the justice system, there was a strong call for, getting tougher. Much harder responses, deterrence, penalties. Specifically, reopening young offenders' places, detention centers, and some targeted a specific law, the Criminal Justice Act of 2006, wanting it overturned, believing it's too lenient on young offenders.
Right, changing the legal framework. What about policing?
More Gardaí presence, definitely. Maybe even dedicated public transport police with the power to issue fines on the spot.
Like ticket inspectors, but for behavior.
Kind of, yeah. And using CCTV much more systematically to gather evidence for actual prosecutions, plus enforcing community service, maybe even linking it to social welfare payments.
Docking benefits. That sounds like it could be controversial.
It ties into the next big area, parental accountability. finding parents came up a lot.
I thought it might, given the focus on parenting as a cause. How much were they talking?
Some suggested pretty hefty amounts, like 20,000 euros. Others proposed things like a 5% cut in social welfare for each minor criminal act by their kid.
Wow. But did people think that would actually work?
Well, there was immediate pushback. Arguments that many parents simply don't have enough money for big fines. And the point that a fine doesn't magically result in them changing their children's behavior, it might just punish poverty.
Yeah, that's a valid concern. So, if not fines, what else regarding family support or welfare?
This led to a really interesting, quite radical suggestion about child benefit, the children's allowance payment.
Okay.
The idea was stop the direct cash payments altogether.
No cash. What then?
Instead, provide the support directly. Things like free childcare or tax subsidies for it, free hot meals in schools, food debit cards.
Debit cards.
Yeah, but specifically designed so they can't be used for alcohol or cigarettes. Also, free educational summer camps, help with school uniforms, direct benefits for the child.
So, ensuring the money is spent on the child's needs?
Exactly. One person even mentioned a podcast, The Witness, apparently noting Child Allowance Day is peak time for drug dealers.
Ooh.
And they pointed out that apparently only the UK and Ireland still give these universal cash allowances, and the UK now limits it to 2 children.
That's a really specific structural change proposal, thinking outside the box.
It is. Beyond that, there were calls for more community and social programs, investing in early intervention for at-risk families, more parenting programs.
Proactive stuff?
Yeah. Practical things like free or cheap homework clubs, breakfast clubs, after-school clubs, affordable sports. Youth clubs actually open in the evenings.
Keeping kids busy and supervised?
Basically, someone mentioned an Icelandic teenage program as a possible model to look at focused on positive activities.
Interesting. Lots of state and community action there. What about individual responsibility? For the public, I mean.
That came up too, but it's tricky. A call for society to push back, for individuals to stand their ground, confront bad behavior.
But isn't that risky?
Hugely risky. People acknowledge that. Plus, the potential legal trouble an adult could get into confronting a minor. Suggestions got pretty extreme here.
How extreme?
Calls to legalize pepper spray for self-defense, even more controversial ideas around physical discipline, though that's obviously a very charged topic.
Yeah, definitely walking a fine line there. It shows the level of desperation for solutions, though, doesn't it?
It really does. But amidst all this frustration, all these strong opinions, and sometimes extreme solutions, there was another important thread running through.
Which was?
A reminder. Many commenters made a point of saying, the overwhelming majority of Irish teenagers are nothing like this.
That's crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely. Emphasizing that most of them are good, decent kids. We shouldn't tar everyone with the same brush.
And there was that anecdote you mentioned earlier.
Yes. The commenter talking about their own son. Wears the gray tracksuit, the black hoodie, that sort of uniform some might associate with trouble. But this same kid is a community first responder, a qualified EMT, volunteers with local sports. It's such a powerful reminder about not judging by appearances.
It really is. Stereotypes can be so misleading and unfair. Did people notice differences across the country? Was it seen as mainly a Dublin problem, or?
There were definitely mentions of regional differences. Some people from more rural towns chimed in saying things like, the latest generation is great here.
Really? How so?
Involved in farming, community stuff, just painting a picture of a very different way of life compared to the intense experiences being described in, say, Dublin city center.
So geography plays a part too. Location matters.
It seems so. Look, this whole deep dive, sparked by just one Reddit thread, it really unearths so much, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. What stands out is just how deeply people feel this issue, but also how incredibly complex it is. No easy answers.
None at all. You see the frustration, sure, but also this genuine longing for solutions that work, for communities that feel safer and more respectful. And it really highlights that constant push and pull in society, doesn't it? How much is down to individual choices and responsibility versus the impact of wider systems, policies, and supports.
Yeah, it really challenges you to think about your own views on youth, on community, on what needs to change. So wrapping this up, we've heard all these different viewpoints, how bad the problem is, where it comes from, what might fix it.
It leads us, and you listening, with a big question, I think. Given all this complexity, if a community really wanted to tackle these concerns head on, what would be the single most impactful first step they could take? And maybe more personally, what role could or should you play in making that happen? Something to think about.